Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome to the channel. I'm Corey, this is Offbeat Motors, and today we're going to be doing my review of the Lycaon GR skateboard. So let's get into the video. So Lycaon boards, if you've never heard of them, from what I found, they started selling boards around the early to mid 2019. They have two boards currently on the market. There is the Lycaon G, and then there's the GR. The R for GR stands for long range, and that's what this one is. And we're going to get into the specs in just a minute. So the way this video is going to go is I'm basically going to give you the walk around of the board. I'm going to give you my thoughts on things as we go along, and we're going to do some riding, and you can make up your mind if this is something you're interested in or not, or whatnot. So let's get right into this, and first and foremost, the deck. The deck is made up of 8 plies of Canadian maple. The flex is okay. It's not the most flexible thing in the world, but it's not the most stiffest thing in the world either. For a beginner like myself, it's doing the job just great. Now, talking about the deck itself, let's talk about the profile of the deck. The deck has a slight curvature, but it's not very curved. I think I'd actually like to see a little bit more curve in the deck. If I remember correctly from the last board I rode, regular skateboard, it had a lot more curve into it. Obviously it wasn't a long board, so it wasn't this long, but it had a lot more curve back and forth. And I think that might help me out a little bit. But that's just my personal opinion. Well, the board can hold up to about 220 pounds, which I fit the bill. I'm 180, well, just under 180. So if you're up to 220 pounds, this is one for you. The length of the deck itself, it's 37 inches. At the widest point, it's about 9 inches. And the deck itself is right about half of an inch thick. From the ground, or in this case the box, to the top of the deck, we're looking at 5 inches. Ground clearance, it's not too bad. We measure from the ground, or the box in this case, to the bottom of the lowest point, which would be actually the trucks. That gives us a ground clearance of about 1.5 inches. We go to the battery itself, it's just under 3 inches. Now if we go to the bottom of the deck, it's 4.5 inches. So that'll give you an idea of any type of clearances and stuff that you can go over. Now this is not an off-road board. This is pretty much just strictly on-road. I have taken it on a little bit of grass here and there, and it does alright. It obviously slows it down big time. The wheels, front and rear, they're both 90 millimeters. The rear wheels are dual brushless hub motors, and it picks up pretty good. Let's flip it over. Now as you can see, it's pretty dirty because, like I said, I have been riding this. I beat it up a little bit. I actually haven't fallen, believe it or not, but I beat it up a little bit, and I left it dirty so that you know I've actually been riding it. I've got about 86, 87 miles on the beast so far. So here's the battery. Here's all the controllers and everything else. The electronics, they are in metal cases, which I thought this was plastic at first, but it is a type of metal. You get trucks front and rear. You are going to want to adjust these. They were extremely stiff when I got my board, and I had to loosen them up just a little bit. Now, if you want to go fast, obviously you're going to probably want the truck stiff, and if you want to do some carving, you're going to have to loosen them up quite a bit. I got them, I think, adjusted right around where I need them. It's not quite stiff, but it's not soft, so it's probably somewhere right in the middle. This is the battery itself is 36 volts. It's a lithium-ion battery, and you can get anywhere from 15 to 25 miles of range out of this bad boy. Now they say anywhere 15 to 25 because it's going to be dependent on how you're riding it, where you're riding it, the rider's weight, the conditions that you're riding in. Obviously temperature is going to affect the battery condition range itself, so all these things take into consideration. The longest ride I've gotten out of it so far is about I think it was right around 16 miles, and there was still juice left in it, but I had gotten back home. So I'm going to actually do a full range test to see how far I can actually take this thing, and we'll see what that ends up being, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do it. These wheels, I'm not sure how I really feel about these wheels, in particular the rubber itself. It is a hard rubber, which is good for over the road. Obviously it doesn't do anything off-road, but it's not an off-road board anyways. But it's pretty solid rubbers, both front and rear. I think I'd like to see something, especially if you're going to be using it on-road, I'd like to see something a little more cushiony with this. Maybe some like airless rubber wheels or something like that can go on here. But that's just me. I think it would absorb a lot of the bumps. And speaking of the bumps, I think the wheels would help with the fatigue I get in my feet. With going all, you feel everything on this board. I'm not sure how it is on all the rest of the boards, but I feel everything on this. Maybe it's just myself, but my feet start tingling a little bit. So I got to stop every so often, get off, walk around a little bit, and then I can get back on and start riding. Speaking of bumps, the other thing that I've noticed with this board that I don't like, some of the bumps you hit, it's like all of a sudden power's cut. It cuts the power to the rear wheels, and the thing just starts slowing down. It just loses its power for a split second, and then it comes back. I've actually almost fallen off on it a couple of times, and there's no predicting when it's going to happen. It just happens whenever it wants. I've hit the same bump multiple times, trying to figure out if it's the bump or what's going on to cause the cut in power, and I can't get it to do it on demand. It just happens whenever it feels like it on whatever bump. And it's been bigger bumps, smaller bumps, doesn't seem to really matter. It just, I don't understand it, and I don't like it. It just cuts it, and you're just, fall forward real quick. But then it comes right back, and then you go backwards. So that's something I think the company should probably look into. And if I hadn't mentioned it, I did purchase this board. I paid $399 for the board. It's on sale right now as of me filming this video. It's like $200 off because I think it's regularly $599. I got it for $399, which is pretty much the only reason why I bought the board. And I've been looking at these, and I finally decided to do it because this was $200 off, and it seemed like for the $399 range, you get a lot for your money, and you definitely get a lot for your money. I'm not completely dissatisfied with this. There's just a couple of things here and there that I don't like, and the board, the surface of the board is one on how there's no curvature, the cutting of the power, which really sucks that I didn't like that, and the wheels themselves. I would like to see some more rubberized wheels to help soften some of the bumps and stuff and the road vibration, because I think it's the vibration that causes my feet to kind of get a little tingly and feels like they're going numb. If you ever sat on a toilet for too long looking at your phone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you go to stand up, you got that feeling, you feel like you can't walk. It's kind of similar to that. So maybe it's just my poor circulation. I don't know. Okay, let's talk about the remote, because this is a pretty important piece. I like the feel of it. And it comes with a strap and everything, so in case you fall off, tighten it up, you're not going to lose it. So pretty sure all of them come with a strap, but yeah. But I like how it feels. I know some of them have triggers like this. The way you use this one is it has the toggle back and forth up at the top here. So to accelerate, you go forward. To brake, you go back. The other thing it has is this board does have reverse. This is the switch for forward and reverse. So if you have it in the up position, you're going forward, down position, reverse. One thing I do want to warn you about is if you do have it in reverse, you would think pull back, you'll go back. Well, that's what I thought at first, but that's not how it actually works. To move backwards or accelerate backwards, it's forward, and to brake, it's back. It's the same whether you're forward or reverse, so just keep that in mind. It's got a screen which tells you a bunch of vital information, which is nice to have. It tells you the battery life of the remote. It tells you the battery life that you have left in the board, which is definitely important to know, especially if you're out for a ride. It has a odometer, which is why I knew that I went about 86 to 87 miles per hour. More on that in a minute. It has a trip, so you'll know basically how long you've been out. And it has the speed. What else does it have? Oh, and it tells you what braking mode you're in and what speed mode you're in, which we're going to get to in just a second. So, quick gripe about the remote. The one thing I don't like about this, which is just going to take me some getting used to, because here in the United States we use miles per hour, and we use miles to determine how far of a distance we've gone. This being a Chinese company, this did not come in miles per hour. It's in kilometers. So if you're not in the US, or if you don't use miles per hour, if you know kilometers and that's what you're used to, great. If not, you'll have to convert everything manually. So it'll just take me some getting used to figure that stuff out. I've never had to use it before, so it is what it is. So gripe over on that aspect. So the buttons on here, you got 3 buttons. You have the power button, and you have the button in the middle, which I'll get to in a second, and the top button. The top button is where you're going to select through your modes of your braking and the modes for your speed. You have high, medium, and low, and that's how you're going to go through them, and high plus. To change through the braking modes, you do have to be pulling backwards on this, as if you're braking, and then you can go through and hit the same button to go through B1, B2, B3, and B4. The difference in the braking modes are obviously the intensity of how hard it's going to brake, and distance-wise, B1 is going to be your farthest distance braking distance. B4 is going to be your shortest. The center button is the something you would think, because it has like a gear on it, it's like a settings, but it's not. And it's something that I actually use quite a bit more than I thought it would when I found out what it was. This is your cruise control. So as you're going along, you get up to whatever speed it is that you want, you just reach over, and while you're moving, you got to have this up. Hit that center button, let go, and it just keeps your speed. So I thought it was gimmicky at first, but I use it more than I care to admit. Quite a bit, actually. And when you're in cruise control mode, if you want to cancel it, all you have to do is pull back or push forward. Anything, if you do anything, hit one of the buttons here, it stops. So that's how you get out of it. For the speeds, depending upon what mode you're in, low is going to get you anywhere from 6 miles to 7.5 miles per hour. Medium is going to get you 12 to 15.5 miles per hour. High is going to get you 22 to 25 miles per hour, and high plus will get you 23 to 26 miles per hour. The reason high plus isn't that different from high is because the main difference is high is going to give you the instantaneous off the line 100% full on torque. That's the one you want to, which was my bad when I first wrote it. It was in high plus, didn't realize it. As soon as you hit it, boom, board wants to take off, and yeah, it threw me off the bat. So high, you're going to get a more gradual, and high plus, boom, instantaneous. Now, in the box, you have the charger, which I'm going to talk about in a second, for the board. You got the tool, and this is the charger for the remote. You want to make sure you always have a charged remote, because without that being fully charged, the board is no good. You have the hub covers for the rear wheels. These are going to work like heat sinks, so it will help dissipate the heat faster as opposed to the ones that are currently on it. So I don't care for the color. I think black would have been a better choice. Just my personal opinion. And they also give you a light. I haven't put the light on yet because I haven't done any night riding. I've been sticking out in the day, and I haven't been like really doing hardcore riding because I don't have a helmet yet. Being the fact that we're in the pandemic, it's extremely hard to get a helmet right now, and the soonest I can get one is towards the end of May, and we are in the middle of April right now, so it's going to be over a month before I can get a helmet. So, but I plan on doing some night riding here and there, and this will come in handy. They don't give you one for the front, so you don't have a front light, you only have the rear light. Now you have a steady on, blinking, or a slower blink. So, and then off. So that's cool that they give you that. So like I said with the charger, this is something I want to discuss because this is something else that I wasn't too happy about. When I ordered the board, I ordered the fast charger, which is an additional $50. The difference is you can charge your board almost twice as fast. The fast charges is You can go from empty to full in 3 to 4 hours as opposed to 6 to 8 hours. And that is not what I received. And the only reason I figured it out is because I went on a ride the other day, and I actually paid attention to the charging because I got back. I did it on lunchtime, went for a couple of miles, I got back, and there was a little over a half of the battery life left on the board. So I plugged it in, and I had about 3.5 hours until my shift was done with work and I was going to go out for another ride. Well, so I plugged it in at 12:30, and I got done at work at 4, and it still was not charged. And it was less than half of the battery to go, and it was over 3.5 hours. It took over 4 hours to fully charge the battery. So I knew right off the bat that I did not have the fast charger. But one of the things that I did like about dealing with Lycaon, and this is apparently an issue with a lot of the electronic board companies, especially the Chinese companies, because this is a Chinese company as well, even though this shipped out of California. When I sent them an email letting them know my concern that I didn't think I got the fast charger. I did receive an email back in less than 24 hours. It was actually the following morning when I woke up. I had an email apologizing and then telling me, yes, I do not have the fast charger. They confirmed I did order the fast charger, but the fast charger does not come with the board. It actually comes from a separate warehouse, and it has to come from China. So that's going to be a while before I see that. I don't know when. It would have been really nice if they had told you that up front and you were aware of that. So if you do order this and you do order the fast charger with your board, just know you're going to end up with 2 chargers. You're going to get the regular one first, which is okay because it's going to get you out there riding, but you're going to have to also wait for the fast charger. Would have been nice to know. So, rant over with. So, one of the things I forgot to mention about this is it does supposedly do up to a 30% grade, and we are going to test that out. So, let me change my clothes. We're going to get out there. We're going to do some riding. It's a little windy and stuff like that, so probably not going to talk during it, but I might do some overlay voice stuffy, yeah. So, let's get on out there and get riding, shall we? see what we can get. Max 23 miles per hour. Hill test, high plus. Alright, well, that's it for today's ride. It's gonna storm, as you can see. So, all around, my impressions of this board, I like it. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I'm 40 years old. I haven't ridden a skateboard since I was 13.